Hi, you're hanging with Chi Mama of Shifting TV, and I'm so excited to bring to you today the Orange Rhino. This woman, mother, wife went over 500 days without yelling at any of her kids. She brings to us tips that she writes in her new book, How to Yell Less and Love More. I'm so excited to introduce to you Shelia of the Orange Rhino. Thank you so much for being here with us, Shelia. You have so much great information to share with everybody as the Orange Rhino. I asked viewers, what do they want to know? And we have a local 30-day challenge, which are popping up all around the world. All around the world. And I think the point is it doesn't have to be 365 days a year. It might be 30 days of no yell and how to get support with local moms in your area. So if somebody's looking for something, here's another great resource. Right, and so when I was approached to do a 30-day no yell challenge, I thought, I got this in the bag because I'm not a yeller, right? Maybe once in a while. And as I joined this group, what I recognize though is that even though yelling is not my go-to, I do have other triggers. Yeah. And what those triggers bring about is foot stomping, door slamming, that talking under my breath, possibly about my children.
Totally. Which
is not necessarily the way that I want to be portraying myself to my kids. And so is this book, is it more about yelling?
Yelling is where I started, but what I've learned from a lot of people, it's just like what you say. Everyone has their triggers, and it's basically an attitude that's negative towards their children that come out, whether it's stomping feet, or my friend said, she's like, I don't yell, I just don't talk to them. She's like, that's equally as bad. So it's really about figuring out what it is that makes you, let's say, super, super cranky to the point of you're uncomfortable with how you left your children, and then finding ways to calm yourself down before you get there. So you could substitute in whatever it is that you do when you're really angry. And it's about the tone. Whatever tone your words or your body is giving off, if it's nasty and hurtful, that's what needs to change.
Absolutely. And so yet, these actions that we do, yelling in particular, they seem to work. Our kids respond.
They do.
To yelling.
In the moment. And I always think about when I got yelled at, actually several times when I started it by adults, for silly reasons, but in that moment, you feel shamed enough that you stop because you hurt. But guess what? A few weeks later, I don't remember why they yelled at me except that it hurt. I haven't learned from a lesson. So yes, my kid might not throw the ball in the house and break my favorite frame like he did the other day. He might not do it again right then, but did he learn why it's wrong? No, because if you're yelling, no one can understand you.
So how do you redirect that? What do you do in that moment when your child threw the ball, which hit the frame? So how do you respond in a way that is productive, that is teaching lessons?
Well, I think someone made a great point to me. They're like, when something goes wrong, the goal is not to punish, it's to get everyone calm so you can learn. So you basically have an open mind. So the glass broke. Luckily the picture didn't. I just stayed calm. I said, okay, let's clean it up. Just teaching, you got to clean up from your mess. And then we went through it and we just talked about it. And I think, he'd already had the natural consequence of having to clean it up. He saw on my face that I was sad. It was a picture of the family. And I think he took it in that way because I hadn't shut him down by yelling. And it's how I act. Someone screams at me, blah, blah, blah. You tune it out. And he came up, this is my 5-year-old, he came up to me later in the day, Mommy, I'm really sorry I threw the ball in the house and broke your thing. Doubt I would have gotten that sincere, it was truly from the heart apology if I had screamed. So.
In your longest record, we'll say,
yes.
Right? You managed to go over 500 days without yelling.
I did.
But let's be honest. How many times did you have to restart at 0?
It's actually interesting. I started over 8 times. But the first day I went straight without yelling, I'm like, whatever, this is a joke. My husband left me a note that said, great, 364 days to go. I'm like, oh, this is real. And I went 8 straight days right off the bat because I had told people, so they were keeping me accountable. I was keeping track. I had the adrenaline. I just had the desire to do it. And then I fell off the wagon. And it took me from that day 8 tries, 8 days to get going again. And then I woke up one morning, and I write about this in my book, and I forgave myself. I'm like, okay, you yelled. You're not an awful person. Pick up and go. And then I went 520 days. Because that not letting go of screwing up is what cycles you back to do it. You yell, you feel bad, you don't forgive yourself, you get crankier. So you yell again, and it just goes.
And when we live in this space of shaming ourselves for our actions, we just kind of get ourselves maybe deeper down into those negative feelings
Yes.
instead of finding a way to pick ourselves up
Absolutely.
and live in this space of it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and it's a vicious cycle both with ourselves and with our kids. It's like you yell at them for something that they've done wrong. They feel bad. Are they going to act better or worse? They start acting worse. You yell more. I mean, it's just, and it takes strength to step back and bring it up. That's hard. Really hard.
And it takes practice, and that's why you're here to provide support, and
Yes.
that's why we have all of these groups, right, that have grown all over the world.
All over. It's awesome.
To bring that support to everybody. So you speak in your book about scheduling a yell. You speak
Yes.
about this online.
Yes.
Speak to that. What is schedule a yell?
I love this tip. I actually got it from someone else to give full disclosure. Obviously, when you're not yelling, you still have the stress building up. You have got to find a way to get it out, or it's still going to come out as a yell. Some people exercise, whatever. If you wake up and you know you're having a bad day, say, okay, I'm going to lose it, so in an hour, I'm going to go let out a primal scream. Or I'm like with my boys, we are always yelling. Go to the park, run around, and just scream and have like a joyous scream, and you release it, and you just, afterwards, you're like, you feel better. I don't know. I mean, when you yell, you feel better. There's a reason. So I'll do that on really bad days. I'm like, I got to go get something out. I just got to let it out. I have my kids come because it helps them too.
That's one point that I love. So we've been taught, right? Go in your car and let out a big scream, but that's doing it alone. That's not being witnessed. It's not being heard. And so when you invite your kids, let's go outside in like a healthy space.
Yes.
And release and yell, then the yell's not directed
at them. But it's also teaching them. It's funny, like when I was a parent, okay, things I'm going to teach my kids. Say please, thank you, excuse me. I never thought anger management. I don't know why. It just wasn't a big thing. But the thing that's nice about this book is the more I learn to control how to yell, I am teaching them how to do it. Which is really, everyone's like, they need to know how to yell. I'm like, no, they don't. It's a lifelong skill to come up to someone being mean to you or at work and not yell back, you know? So scheduling a yell is a great way to show them, you know, how to be proactive.
Fantastic. You offer so many more tips on your blog, which has been rated by parents as like one of the best blogs to learn how to change a new habit. So honored to have you here. Tell us about this book that is coming out this week.
So Yell Less, Love More. Basically, it takes all that I learned in a year and culls it down to 30 days. And I know no parent has time, maybe not even take a shower. So it's 30 short stories. Beautiful. And it ends with what I call the Cliff Notes version. So here's the 3 lessons I learned from this story. Here's some tips to try, and here's actions for the day. And you can read it all at once. Some people have done that. You can read it day at a time. And then at the end, like some of my favorite things, we have the trigger tracking sheet, which is actually perforated. So you can tear it out, which I think is so neat. And then I also love this. It's the orange rhino sign. This is something I did with my kids. We made signs, and they would hold them up when they could see that I was getting aggravated. So like not only did I see their gorgeous face I didn't want to yell at, and I saw it was a double reminder. So that's a great tool. And also in the back, which I don't have on the site now, there's a bunch of like 10 orange rhino revelations about yelling. Again, Cliff Notes. So if you get this and you don't have time to learn, either put this as, you know, on the coffee table to look at, or just read one of the sheets in the back and you have like a little help for that day.
Absolutely. It's something that you could even, sounds like, do with your child, maybe as part of your bedtime routine is, hey, let's just read this little tip.
Exactly.
What do you wish that mommy could do differently? Or just having that conversation.
Yes.
If you don't have a time, because it can be more of a resource than a book that you have to sit and read through.
Right, and a lot of the tips are fun because everyone knows changing habits is hard and boring and monotonous. I took a fun approach to this so I didn't get tired of it. My kids have done some of these things. My 6-year-old who's got a temper is starting to do, you know, he squeezes his fists or he pulls his fingers to release tension. I mean, they're doing it with me. It's awesome.
That is fantastic. Thank you so very much.
Thank
Where can
you.
people order this book? Where's the best place to get this?
The best place to find where you want to go is if you go to theorangerhino.com/the-book. It lists all the places you can buy it.
Fantastic.
To be an equal opportunity person, but mostly all your favorite online sources have it.
Wow. The Orange Rhino really has experience in learning how to control her calm around her kids. I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. Hop on over to Ener-Chi to get more of the Orange Rhino, links to where you can purchase her new book. It's available for pre-order now at the lowest price available. Thank you so much for being here. If you want more videos, make sure that you like and subscribe. Thank you from my family to yours. All the best.
Because that's been one of the big things behind this is, yes, this book is about yelling, but someone else who just read it nailed it. It's about really finding like all your insecurities and working on them.
So it's not even about what the kids are doing.
No.
Most of the time.
Most of the time it's not.
How we're feeling.
Yeah. Definitely became a much more peaceful, chill person as the yelling left my body.